Good day to ya. Alright, my friends, your friends in DIEHUMANE have an as-yet unheard song. A cover song that'll appear on their soon-to-be-released special version of the Grotesque on vinyl. Their interpretation, and heavy emphasis on interpretation, of the song Something I Can Never Have by 9 Inch Nails. Now you gotta ask, why do bands cover songs? Well, sometimes it may be to pay tribute to the original, or because it's just an appropriate fit musically and stylistically. Other reasons, I don't know, I'm sure you can come up with a few. But then okay, what are the shoulds? I think, personally, the cover should bear at least somewhat, what is it? What is the word? Is it semblance or is it resemblance? Somebody help me out here. But it should be at least somewhat recognizable to the point where the listener can be like, oh, okay, it's Freebird, but it's Pantera doing it, okay? Yes, I know that doesn't exist, but you know what I mean. Okay, so anyway, in the case of DIEHUMANE doing a 9 Inch Nails song, their reason for covering it, that's very interesting because I'm not so sure if all those check boxes are covered or not. I mean, think about it. Take guitarist Rick Hunolt, for example. He was in Exodus for a million years, and Exodus doesn't sound like 9 Inch Nails. Sal, their drummer, which, here's some news in case you missed it. Sal has since stepped aside from his duties to allow somebody else in his place. Who that is, we don't know yet, but I'm sure they're terrific. But okay, so we know Sal from his time in Typo Negative and A Pale Horse Named Death. Neither of those bands sound very nin. And Josh, as far as I know, Josh has always mainly been a metal guy. And same thing with Garret on vocals. That leaves Greg on keys, which, yeah, sure, keys have their place very loudly in industrial. But altogether, man, whatever the reasons, I think this is one of those cases where, whatever the case, I don't think it really matters because what we got, no surprise, is another brilliantly done composition from a band that was initially dubbed as a supergroup, in that it featured two names from very well-known bands. But you know what, man? Now, you know what I believe? They are a supergroup because they are a super group, man. Hell friggin' yes. So alright. Since the song is not out yet publicly, I'm just gonna tell you about it, but you might be wondering, well, hey, shit, if it's not out yet, how the fuck did you hear it? Well, as was the case with their full-length The Grotesque ahead of its release, I was very awesely and kindly given a chance to preview it and share my thoughts with the world. Same situation here, man, and for that, I am extremely thankful to DIEHUMANE because I love those guys, I love their music. So fucking A, man, without further ado, here is what I got to say. In short, yes, it's a cover, but this is DIEHUMANE staying true to themselves and doing what they do. Now first, the Nin version, its length is just short of 6 minutes, but here it's a whopping 10 minutes and 14 seconds. So when I heard that, I figured the extra time was gonna be some kind of like, I don't know, jammy, sort of like kind of directionless fucking jam, right? But that's not the case. Instead, it's all perfectly structured with their signature songwriting style and with parts and sections and all that type of stuff. So okay, now again, remember, this is DIEHUMANE being DIEHUMANE, and the first sign of like fuckery that we encounter is right at the beginning with the presence of, it's either an open hi-hat or a closed hi-hat or a sort of open hi-hat or something, I don't know, but it's a beat, and that's weird because it's like, what? There's no hi-hat beat like that in the beginning of the original, but there is here and it's cool. Next, you know how this band seems to be famous for throwing curveballs at you and making you think you know what's gonna happen, but you know, what you think is gonna happen doesn't happen and something else happens instead. Exactly, man. The vocals, more fuckery going on, but it's cool fuckery. Garret starts out in, I think, what is classified as falsetto, which I can only imagine he did because if he didn't, it'd probably just sound way too close to the original. And like, you know, he kind of does sound like Trent, you know? And shit, while I'm at it, real credit to Garret as a vocalist because I've heard him also sing Chris Stapleton. And Jesus, man, if that kid does not sound every bit like Stapleton, man. And then, not long into it does just, that saxophone appear, man. And I gotta tell ya, I I never ever thought I'd be a fan of a saxophone. I mean, shit, dude, it's like, we listen to heavy metal, you know? Where the hell's a sax ever show up in metal? Well, I'll tell you where, in DIEHUMANE's music. And then, here's some special credit to the band too, because since I discovered my love for saxophone, I have gone looking for just like sax-dominant music. And you know what? I just haven't found anything that's moved me the way that DIEHUMANE does, you know? But yes, once again, their brand of saxophone is here, and son of a bitch, it works. And you know one of the main reasons I think why it works so well? Because when it's played alongside Rick's guitar, it's like each have their own color. Like one's red and one's blue, and when played simultaneously, it creates this just beautiful shade of purple, man. And dude, there is one really cool demonstration of this sort of like at the end when they blend and trade off so perfectly that like you don't even know what's what. You're like, oh, that's Rick soloing, or no, wait a minute, it's the sax, or you're like, no, wait, that's the violin. It's brilliant, man. Okay, so now the drums. In this version, the proper chorus, the 9 Inch Nails chorus, is sung almost like a pre-chorus. And during this time, the drums are on display, man, right up front, and it's like the fills and the reverb on the fills, it is just so goddamn cool. You'll know exactly what I mean when you hear it. So given that the Nin chorus is DIEHUMANE's pre-chorus, the chorus in this version is when it jams and it gets heavy. And the way that heaviness plays out, its tone in particular, you're like, wait a minute, is this Matt Pike playing? Matt Pike from Sleep and High on Fire? Nope, it's Rick. And yet again, that's cool because it's him doing something we haven't heard him do before. We haven't heard him play that kind of style. It's almost, dare I say, a little bit like typo negative. It's got a typo feel. I don't know, does that make sense? Try to imagine Matt Pike playing to a sort of typo flow or movement, but anyway, it's fucking cool, man. Now, I should note, with all of the signature DIEHUMANE flavoring, the only real, like, radical deviation, if you can call it radical, is a simple sort of, like, changing of chords a few times that wasn't in the original, but just trust me that it works here and it sounds very nice. Okay, so during the parts when there's no singing, and particularly when that sax is on display, you know what I realized? You know what kind of music DIEHUMANE plays? One word. They play beautiful music, man. Their music is just fucking beautiful. It is. And all of its texture and its effect and layering and heaviness, it all fits together to produce just a beautiful, beautiful sound, man. And you know certain music is special when it can bring you somewhere, you know? Maybe it's a place you've been to already, maybe you haven't been, I've said this before. But for me, when it's doing something kind of like moody, it is November or December, and I am in the Copley part of downtown Boston on Newbury Street. It's about 7:30 p.m. and I'm noticing all the sophistication and the class around me and like the bokeh or the fucking like bokeh lights. How the fuck you say that, you know? Photographers know what I'm talking about. Josh Vargas, I'm sure he knows what I'm talking about. But I'm noticing that all around me, and it is there, man. Or when it's like maybe heavy, I'm like 10 or 11 years old and I'm fucking around with magic cards, Magic the Gathering. Yeah, I used to fucking play Magic, right? But I'm in one room and my parents are in the other, and I can hear whatever movie they're watching, and its score sounds like DIEHUMANE, and like these guys are just masters of bringing you somewhere, you know? And once again, they do it here in their cover of something I can never have. And okay, the solo near the end, wow. During the solo, Rick and Greg trade off playing the same kind of like, I don't know, riff a few times in a row, and the panning is really, really cool, because it's not just like a straight like 90 degree, 45 degree or whatever. It's like 100 over here and 65 over there, and you're like, okay, I'm ready at 100 for Rick to come in next, but then Rick shows up at 115, and Greg shows up at 60 or something, and then they move yet again, and I don't know, man, it's fucking cool. So there you go, that is my experience with this song. I wonder, and I kind of even hope, if when you hear it, you get something entirely different. If you do, I'd genuinely love to know what that is, you know? So okay, DIEHUMANE, once again, boys, you did it. You managed to produce something awesome, no surprise to me. and friends. Yes, there you go. If you liked this video, hey, maybe you'll give it a thumbs up. Or if you just like hearing somebody bullshit about heavy metal, hit that fucking subscribe button. We'll see you next time on Concrete Spew, but until then, stay classy, stay cool, and stay metal, my friends. All right.